comic. It's just launched on Kickstarter, and you can check it out at the link in the description. 1 second. Now, sorry about that. There was a bit of background noise from the heater in this little room, which is keeping me nice and warm. So, Grace Under Pressure is a comic about 3 characters in the Era survival universe, which you might know from the role-playing game here, potentially. But before I go into the 3 characters and what they're all about and why they're interesting, which I'll do in future videos, I wanted to talk a little bit about how a comic comes from a tabletop role-playing game universe. And in order to do that, I think I need to explain how it is I create a universe when I approach a universe and want to create it. So I don't create a universe thinking, oh, it's a tabletop role-playing game, or it's a card game, or it's a comic, or it's an audio. I love telling stories, and I love telling stories of all kinds. Each universe is a vehicle for a different kind of story, and tabletop role-playing games are absolutely brilliant for a number of reasons, not least of which is they allow you to bring other people's stories to life, whether that is a GM who's going with another group, or whether it's a group who are working with me to expand on the story that I have in mind. No matter what it is, it gives this option for bringing stories to life. And I find that really exciting and interesting. So, with that said, there are different kinds of stories, right? So imagine a universe as like a giant mansion, 4 floors high and huge and huge scope for exploration within it. So this mansion, a role-playing game is like a key to the front door. You can walk in, you can unlock, and you can look around. You might explore the ground floor. You might go up the stairs a bit and look at some of the first floor. You might even go up to the next floor and look around up there as well. But ultimately, you're likely to find some rooms that you're comfortable with and stick in those. And to me, that's very much what most people playing a tabletop role-playing game is like, including me. I'm not exempting myself from that at all. So what a comic does, or what an audio drama does, is it draws you to a different room of the house, if you'll excuse the pun in the case of a comic. It takes you somewhere else, somewhere where maybe you wouldn't have gone otherwise. And it lets you look in that window, a comic, to experience a moment in time in a place that you might never have expected. So that's why I think that comics are quite interesting as a means of telling stories within a universe that maybe is already established through a tabletop role-playing game. Maybe this comic will excite you and bring you to go and look up what the role-playing game is like, or maybe you already own the role-playing game, and what you'll do is actually you'll go, oh, wow, that's a really cool story. I'd like to do a session that feels a little bit like that. Maybe I'll follow it along and see where it goes, and you build your own campaign. Because a person building a story is a beautiful thing to me. And anything that I can do to help people be able to do that, that's what I want to be doing with my time and with my creativity. So Grace Under Pressure is a 24-page full-color comic. The link is in the description below. I hope you'll consider checking it out because it's really interesting as a story. I'm really excited to tell you more, but I'm also very well aware that I'm going to have to do a stream tomorrow, and I need to talk about the various characters. But let's just say that Grace, Clint, and Jessica, they're all really interesting in their own way. Grace is this character who doesn't like to take no for an answer. She's a survivalist, a tracker, someone who's grown up out in the wilds, ready and able to take on almost anything that might get thrown at her by the infected or raiders or anyone else that's out there. Jessica is a recently escaped slave. She's looking for her place in the world. She's trying to... Hi there, the topic, I'm talking about Grace Under Pressure, which is a survival horror comic, which I've just completed and put up on Kickstarter. and it's linked very heavily to the Era Survival tabletop role-playing game. I've got a copy of that right here. That's the Era Survival. Sorry, excuse the reflection there. That's the Era Survival tabletop role-playing game. It's actually based in that world. So I'm talking about why it's interesting to bring a world to life that maybe is in a tabletop role-playing game, but through the medium of a comic, and why that kind of story is interesting. So sorry, where was I? Jessica, she's an escaped slave. She's been a slave for one of the factions within Era Survival's world of Gaia. She's an escaped slave. Thank you very much. Bildungsfauna. I can't read that. I'm sorry. It's too small on my phone. I apologize. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. The link is in the description, so please do go check it out. That would be absolutely awesome. It only launched today, so I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to how we can maybe build some interest in this. And I have begun a story arc here that I'm really hoping is going to continue on for a good long time. Sorry, I got sidetracked again. Jessica, she's an escaped slave. She used to be owned by someone in the one remaining city in Gaia, which is called City. And she was freed actually by Grace. And since then, she's been trying to find out who she is and what she wants to do with her life, because she's been a slave for so long. She doesn't really know anything else. And then finally, we've got Clint. And Clint is a White Cross medic. The White Cross are a faction who roam the lands of Gaia, healing anyone that needs it, to make sure that they have the best opportunity of surviving in this harsh and dangerous world. So, that's a really, really brief introduction to Grace Under Pressure. The comic is on Kickstarter right now. You can find it as Grace Under Pressure, or you can follow the link below. I don't really know what else to say. I suppose I've ran out of things to say, but I've got 21 viewers here, which is really unusual for me to have so many and so much interest. So thank you very much, everyone who's checking this out. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll stick around for a couple of minutes and ramble as best I can about Era Survival, perhaps. So one of the things the Kickstarter's offering is actually the Era Survival core rulebook that I held up earlier. Oh, thank you very much. I'm not much of an artist, but Victor and Gideon, who did the majority of the artwork on that, along with Jatch, who did the lettering, they're absolutely brilliant. I'm an art director and a writer. I wrote the story and I designed the characters. In fact, I designed the characters quite a lot of years ago. This character here is actually Grace. And on the back of the rulebook here, oh, it's sort of under the writing, you can just about see Jessica there, and Clint is there, but he's really under the writing. He's actually there, and you literally can't see him. He's healing someone right there. So we are offering the tabletop role-playing game. Here's the rulebook, as I was saying. It's just over 240 pages long, and it's got a complete guide to life on Gaia. It's got locations, which are really nicely pictured and then described in detail. I believe in making sure that you've got everything you can, so there's sort of a general description, the history of the area, and then some words about the population and what's seen as a crime there and what isn't. It's also got a full bestiary, which I think is an important factor that's too often missed out. Here's a couple of pages from the bestiary. You'll notice the character sheets here for each beast, I suppose. We've got the full rule set, and we've got a whole load of pre-made sessions and campaigns, which I have been relying on very heavily ever since I wrote the book. I run a lot of these at conventions. They're really, really well-written sessions. I'm not just crediting myself there. I wrote some of them, but a good friend, Graham Penman, who worked with me for some years, wrote the rest of them. Well, I think that's about it. Don't forget to check out Grace Under Pressure. 24-page, full-color comic. I know you'll love it. It's a fantastic story, even if I say so myself. So, check it out. thank you very much for watching. Link in the description. And yeah, maybe I'll see you tomorrow when I come back to talk a little more about each character in turn. How do I... There we go.